Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition, aka Better Call Paul, because my real name is Paul. Should probably call myself that instead of Definition. Anyway, Better Call Saul has just wrapped up on Netflix, and as always, there's a lot to unpack from it. The 5th season has really stepped up to the plate, and it can be argued that it's now on par with Breaking Bad in terms of quality. Season 5 marked a number of things, and it left elements wide open for the future. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through the ins and outs of the season and giving our thoughts on it. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for breakdowns like this every day, and please drop a thumbs up if you love Jimmy McGill. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into our breakdown of Better Call Saul. Okay, so Season 5 brought a lot with it, and there's a ton of things to talk about. I just want to stick to the main plot and finale, but throughout the season there were a lot of major events that definitely should be touched upon. Firstly, Jimmy started practicing law under the name Saul Goodman, and he managed to build a big clientele base through the mobile phone network that he built in the prior entry. Pun intended there. We also got the return of Hank Schrader and his partner Steve Gomez. I know this is a prequel and technically they haven't returned, but it is good to see them back. This was their first meeting with Saul, and as we know, the pair will cross paths with him in a major way during Breaking Bad. This will ultimately lead to their demise down the road, and I'll never forget you, Hank. Kim started to enforce a home eviction for her client Mesa Verde in order for them to build a call center. She genuinely tried all that she could to get the property owner to budge, and even turned to Jimmy in order to help. Jimmy, now fully in the Saul persona, went way too far, and he put Kim in a really compromising position. Eventually, she had to leave her law firm, and in the end things did work out, but there was a point where Kim made Jimmy promise that there would be no more lies. The two even got married, and this was tested early on in the seminal episode Bagman. In that, Jimmy ended up collecting $7 million in bail money for his cartel client Lalo. It was a phenomenal entry that I think fans of the show will remember as a standout episode for a long time, and I loved watching him trudge through the desert with Mike as they were slowly chased by sicarios. I don't know if that's the correct usage of Sicario, but I wanted to sound cool anyway. Jimmy and Kim aren't the only main players now either, and what I love about this season is that Nacho, Gus Fring, Mike, and Lalo all get their own storylines that really flesh out the narrative and put things in place for Breaking Bad. There's a real Cold War feeling to the entire piece, with Nacho now working as a double agent for Fring and the Salamancas. Time and time again he's forced to prove himself, and he doesn't have much choice in the matter as Gus has a literal gun to his father's head. Now there is an excellent moment in which Mike tries to talk Gus out of using fear as a motivator in order to control someone. He begs and pleads with him, stating that it ultimately always goes bad, but unfortunately it falls upon deaf ears. This would of course later come to bite Gus in the butt in Breaking Bad, in which he tried to use the same tactics against Walt, and things turned out bad for him. The entire theme of the season is centered around how lies can end up spiraling out of control, and almost all of the characters are hiding something at some point. Mike's relationship with his granddaughter almost falls apart because he lies about what happened to his son and her father. Gus is tested several times as he keeps up the facade of being a team player. Nacho is in a lose-lose situation due to his unfortunate position, and Jimmy just lies throughout. Whether it's to Howard, his wife, or Lalo, he just can't seem to stick to the truth. His lies with Lalo come back on him, and in episode 9 he went to see Kim and Jim personally. However, surprisingly, the former lied for Jimmy, and she managed to do it really well. Initially, Kim started off as a genuine person wishing to obey the law, but we've seen throughout the season that she's slowly being corrupted by the Saul persona and is becoming very similar to him. I'll discuss this more in detail in just a bit, but there are some amazing parallels between the two, such as their actions and mannerisms, which show that she is slowly becoming her own version of Saul. I loved at the start of the season when she was questioning whether the Saul persona was a third person in their relationship, and we see her go through a similar arc throughout season 5. Episode 10 picks up with the pair having just sent Lalo packing, and in what feels like the first honest moment in the season, Jimmy confesses to Kim exactly what happened out in the desert. I honestly think that she knew, or at least had an idea of what had happened, but she still acts slightly shocked and comforts him. This is an example of the mask that Kim wears, and similar to Jimmy, she is now playing a part when really she has most things figured out. Jimmy asks if he's bad for her, and I think the audience and Kim both know the answer deep down. Here was a budding lawyer that has been completely changed due to her relationship with Saul, and even though I love the two, you do get the feeling that this is only going to go one way. The two retreat to a luxury hotel and spend the majority of the episode hiding out in the location. The fact that it's so high-end, though not mentioned, does highlight to me that they feel like they're on borrowed time, so they might as well live it up. Kim still has things to attend to though, and she returns to the courthouse where she encounters Howard. He tells her about all of the things that have happened to him in the season, such as balls being thrown at his car, and well, his balls being discussed in public. However, rather than being shocked by this, or even apologising, she laughs at him and finds it insulting that he would insinuate that Jimmy was behind her departure at her law firm. Upon returning to the hotel, she decides that they need to work together in order to mess with him. These pranks initially start off as innocent, like shaving his head and putting Nair in a shampoo. However, they gradually increase until they start planning to get him disbarred. The conversation is mainly led by Kim, and she's actually the one who elevates it and not Jimmy. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I actually quite like Howard. And I kinda thought that he was wrongly made the villain by Jimmy, especially when it was revealed that Chuck was the one who was actually behind a lot of the misdeeds that were pinned on him. They decide to humiliate him, which will force him to step back from the Sandpiper case, which will make all parties settle quicker, and thus those involved will get their money quicker. After learning that they are safe, they decide to frame him for something unforgivable, which is of course the episode's title, but it goes beyond that. The fact that they agree on coming up with a scheme that's really going to mess up Howard's career showcases just how far Kim has come. Jimmy asks if Kim could be okay with doing such a thing, and she responds with the Saul Goodman gun fingers, cementing that she is now truly an extension of the alter ego. Now what will happen to Kim with just one season left? Well, we don't know for certain, and even Rhea Seehorn told The Hollywood Reporter today that the creative team haven't finalised the ending of her arc. We do know one thing though, Kim and Jimmy are not together for Breaking Bad, and whether it's death or divorce, things are going to go badly for the pair. I do think that it will be the latter, purely because I think that watching her die would make Jimmy leave everything, including his persona, behind. The fact that he still works in law likely shows that Saul lost Jimmy or Kimmy. In episode 10, Saul even packs his bags because he realises just how bad he is for her. I think next season will be the final straw for the pair, and I really hope that Jimmy does the right thing because it's sad seeing what Kim has become. Elsewhere is Gus, who, in the wake of the sort of false flag attack on his own restaurant, decides to send assassins after Lalo, which leads to a big action scene for the finale. This takes place at the Salamanca compound, and Gus uses his inside man Nacho to let Fring's forces into the fortress. The plan is to go ahead when everyone is in bed, however we learn that Lalo doesn't really sleep much, and he only requires 1 to 2 hours a night in order to be fully rested up. Watching Nacho slowly play out the social situation while the clock ticks down is brilliant, and he cunningly starts a fire within the house to draw Lalo away whilst he breaks one of the padlocks of the home using a foil technique. I didn't even know about this, but if my bike goes missing, we know what happened. Nacho runs off into the night, and though we don't know what his fate will be, he at least survives the season, which I actually wasn't expecting him to. Mirroring this, Lalo too makes it out alive after showing firsthand just how good he is when it comes to a fight. It seemed like Gus had everything set up after arranging his release from prison, allowing him to travel to Mexico, and then putting the hit on Lalo's own doorstep in order to draw suspicion away from him, but he didn't count on Lalo being the man that he is. I absolutely love the tunnel scene, and it shows just how prepared he was for this kind of encounter. He takes out the assassins and questions the final one over who hired the hit. Gus was smart and instead used a middleman, but Lalo still knows the truth. Obviously, the two are going to war, and you might have some questions over what happens to the character. Well, it does seem that Lalo might actually survive until a certain point in Breaking Bad if he's not killed in the next season. When Saul is kidnapped by Jesse and Walt, he starts to beg for his life and states he's always been friends with the cartel. When they seem confused, he says, "Lalo didn't send you," and seems quite relieved. Now this could show that Lalo does survive at least until this point. I do think that Jimmy would be keeping tabs on him, as he will no doubt be worried about his return. So it is possible that Lalo does survive the events of the next season. However, he definitely does die either before or by season 4 of Breaking Bad. This is confirmed by Gus, who visits Hector and states that every other Salamanca is dead, which does suggest that he indeed comes to his demise at the hands of the character. Overall, it's a brilliant way to end the season though, and I can't wait to see what happens next time. The pieces are all in place now for a big finale, but there is one thing hanging over Jimmy's future. That is, what will he do now that he's been recognised? In a flash forward, he was spotted by a random member of the public, and though he did initially want to be relocated, in the end he decided against this. Perhaps he is going to find a way to silence the character, or he may finally be accepting of the fact that it's time to stop running. Jimmy is a character that I think will get his comeuppance, and who knows what will happen in the future. Now before we get into the review, I just want to let you know we're giving away a free copy of the Marvel Phase 3 Part 1 box set to one random subscriber. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts on the show in the comment section below. The winner is going to be chosen at random on the 15th of May and the set will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. Okay, so what did I think of the show overall? Well, I absolutely loved it, and it's easy to see why it's getting so much praise. Everyone seems to be really enjoying it right now, and it's for a good reason. Finally, all of the pieces are falling into place, and I'm so glad that all of the Breaking Bad characters are getting expanded roles here. The show has heart, drama, and action, and it's a blast to watch. I love Netflix releasing episodes weekly too, as it really helps you digest what you've just watched, and it's better for me getting to sit with the program for months rather than just having to binge it in a weekend. Overall, I love Better Call Saul, and it gets a 9 out of 10. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show, so comment below and let me know. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of Too Hot to Handle, which is going to be linked at the end. If you want to support the channel from as little as 99 cents a month, then please click the join button below. We massively appreciate it, and as a thank you, you get access to content early. If you want to come chat to us after the show, either follow us at DefinitionYT or click the Discord link in the description below. Those are the best ways to keep up to date with heavy spoilers, so hopefully we see you over there very soon. This is a channel for people who are never missing television, so if that's the kind of thing you like, you need to subscribe to Definition. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. You've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.